Detroit just flipped the switch from nice story to serious business. And it didn't come from a press conference or a locker room quote. It came from the way the building moved today. Lights on early in Allen Park. Coffee gone by 8 a.m., personnel staff trading cut-ups like poker chips, and one theme written in big letters on the whiteboard: close the middle of the field. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. Here's what I'm giving you, straight and clean. Why the Lions are zeroing in on a very specific nickel archetype. What Michael Carter II actually brings on tape beyond the box score. How his contract and medical flags really factor into an in-season move. What a Detroit fit looks like inside Aaron Glenn's coverage menu, and how this kind of addition can swing January football. I'll hold the final card until the end, but if you stick with me, you'll see why this isn't just rumor season noise. It's the kind of move that shifts who you are on 3rd and 4 in the fourth quarter. Set the scene. Dan Campbell's team has built an identity that travels: violent front, disciplined edges, and a coverage structure that wants to live in nickel without blinking. The idea is simple: make quarterbacks earn windows, make yards after catch expensive, make offenses hate 2nd and 8. When the pass rush is cooking and the front is playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage, the one crack that can still leak late is the slot. In today's league, that's where offenses park their chain mover, option routes, pivots, unders, fast threes off bunch. If your nickel can't match footwork, tackle clean, and understand leverage like a safety playing corner, that's death by 1,000 4-yard cuts. That's why the search narrowed to a true inside corner, rather than a boundary name with a marketing halo. The ask isn't sexy, it's hard. It's be right every snap. Enter Michael Carter II. Strip away the labels and look at the job description he's been living with the Jets. Align inside against jitterbug slots one week and bigger bodies the next. Blitz off the edge when the front calls for a creeper look, fit the C gap in the run like a linebacker, then carry a slot seam without grabbing when the coordinator turns to Tampa 2 variations. No excuses, no hiding. On tape, he's not hunting for hero ball interceptions. He plays on time, keeps his feet under him, triggers downhill, and ends the play. The box score won't shout, but nickel excellence rarely does. Across his first 4+ seasons, the splash count says 2 career interceptions and 21 pass breakups. What it doesn't show is how often the ball simply didn't go there because the leverage was right, the window was muddy, and the quarterback moved on. That's the kind of boredom Detroit wants to buy. Force the offense to their second read. Give the rush that half beat, end the drive. Let me be specific about fit, because this is where Detroit's design meets Carter's habits. When Detroit leans into simulated pressure, showing 5, bringing 4, the nickel might be the hidden rusher. Carter's get-off and willingness to take on a back cleanly make that call real, not cosmetic. And on the most Lions call of all, post-loss, instant re-attack, his urgency shows up. You can't coach a DB to want that first hit after the ball flips. He wants it. There's a health chapter, and I'm not going to dance around it. Carter has been in concussion protocol this season, which is why a different Jet, Jarvis Brownlee Jr., stepped into slot duties and held serve while the staff waited on clearance. That context matters for 2 reasons. 1, it explains why Carter's recent snap counts don't scream feature player, even though the Jets value him. And 2, it tells you the market is waiting to see if he's fully green-lit before calls turn into real offers. Detroit does its due diligence. They won't move on vibes. But understand the flip side. If the medicals check out, this is exactly the window where a buying team can get a nickel with starter pedigree without paying a first-rounder premium. That's not wish casting. It's how the phone game works at this point in the calendar. Now the cap and paperwork column. One detail front offices circle in red ink. Carter's deal carries a $4 million injury guarantee that becomes locked on the 5th day of the 2026 league year. Translation: any team acquiring him needs to model that guarantee into future cash planning. It's not franchise-breaking money, but it's not nothing, and it will affect the pick math. Teams that like the player but want clean books later will bake that guarantee into the price. Smart buyers do not pretend that clause doesn't exist. They value it on the front end, not the exit. Let me rewind a tape study, because Carter's profile gets misunderstood when you only chase splash. He wins with angles and body position. He plays square, trusts his feet, and tackles like a professional. Watch how he fits outside in against orbit motion to the field. He doesn't overrun the alley. He sinks his hips and makes the ball fall forward for 2 instead of 6. Watch third and short versus bunch. He keeps the upfield shoulder free, squeezes the pivot window, and forces the quarterback to make a throw through hands rather than air. Those are quiet wins that let Detroit stay in its lightbox world without getting bullied on the perimeter. And when the call is a 5-man creeper with the nickel as the ad, his timing is aggressive but controlled. He doesn't give away the rush by creeping too early, and when he hits, he arrives with wrap, not shoulder checks. Let's be real about why this is on the table today and not in April. Trade deadline value comes from solving a playoff problem before it becomes a headline. Detroit's defense is already built to win December. Physical front, speed to the ball, an identity that doesn't disappear on the road. The playoff problem that still sneaks through is the middle of the field bleed when offenses spam option routes to keep the chains breathing. Add a nickel who eliminates the cheap stuff, and you don't just look better on third down, you change how opponents call you on first down. They stop living in free 4 yards, and once you pull that rug, pass rush gets a tell, linebackers can play downhill, and the hidden yardage flips. That's the math inside Allen Park right now. You're not buying a name, you're buying a throttle. There's also the human layer. This locker room is allergic to fake intensity. Guys who talk tough but play soft get exposed here by Wednesday, not Sunday. Carter's reputation is the opposite. Quiet worker, competitive temperament, does the dirty job without asking for applause. In a room where Aiden Hutchinson and the front 7 set the tone, that matters. So what does a Lions deployment look like on day 1? Picture this. Base nickel with Carter aligned to the passing strength, safety rotated weak to protect dagger, front showing mint spacing to clog interior doubles. Offense motions to create a rub. Carter resets leverage 2 steps inside, communicates the switch with his safety, rides the crosser's hip, and forces the throw to the check down, 2nd and 7. 2 plays later, simulated pressure. Slot stems like he's leaving, then comes off the edge when the back releases late. Quarterback has to hot to the flat. That's a loss of 1 because the hook player beat the ball. Punt team. That's not a highlight. That's a plan working because the nickel understood his job. Market vibes? Let's be sober. On the league board, Carter is one of the few slot specialists viewed as actually gettable. He's not a distressed asset, and he's not free. League chatter puts his move probability around the middle of the board. Not inevitable, but not fantasy either. Because the Jets like their corner depth and just got competent snaps from Brownlee, they're not hostage to the idea of keeping everyone. That's why calls are happening. Risk column, because I don't do fairy tales. The concussion must clear without gray areas. The role here is not 20 snaps. It's real work against elite slots who live to steal leverage. The price can't cannibalize future flexibility at corner after this season. You've drafted and developed for a reason. And you have to be sure you're not paying for a version of the player that only exists in a different scheme. Detroit staff will answer that on tape. Do the footwork rules translate? Do the run fits match our language? Does his trigger speed hold up when the playbook is less static and more motion-rich? If those answers are yes, the football case becomes obvious. Here's my verdict. Detroit is built to win with an honest defense, not a gimmick. The one leak that still appears in playoff-style games is nickel attrition. Too many free underneath wins that keep great quarterbacks on schedule. Michael Carter II is not a splashy name, but he is a splashy solution for that exact leak. The contract quirk is manageable, the medical piece is a real box that must be checked, and the football fit is as clean as you'll find at this position in October. If the price lands in the professional range and not the panic buyer range, I would make the move. You're not trading for a headline, you're trading for 2nd and 9. Now it's your turn. You're Brad Holmes. For the next 30 seconds, do you move a mid-round pick package, absorb the 2026 injury guarantee math, and install a true nickel who closes the middle of the field for this playoff run, or do you hold your ammo, trust internal options to grow into the role, and keep your capital for March? Drop your call in the comments right now. I'm reading everything. If you want more daily Detroit intel like this, cap, tape, and what's actually moving in the building, stay here with me on Lions News Fan Report. And keep the bell on. We're going to ride this deadline together, and I'll have updates the second the phone lines heat up.